First thing we're going to do is remove this wheel liner. We're going to see if we can do without removing the entire wheel liner. We're going to remove, looks like it's going to have a clip right here, another clip right here, and there's going to be one higher up, if I can lean y'all back, right there. So we're going to remove those 3 clips, maybe this one over here, and what we're actually going to try to do is just roll this wheel liner back so we can get to our crank. Once we have the wheel liner out of our way, we're going to remove our power steering pump belt, and hopefully that goes well for us. Let's get into it. Alright, so with the pins removed, you can see you can get to your crank bolt right there. Now let's get something to remove this belt. It is going to be a stretch belt, so you don't have a tensioner. You don't want to get too crazy. I've seen people take them off with screwdrivers, which it works, but they are stretched belts. So if you stretch it out, you'll have to get a new one, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to replace it now while you're in there, but we're going to try to save this one if we can. Alright, so what we've done, we've got a rag wrapped around our belt, and it's hard to see up in there. This is going to be a tough one to get y'all video on, but you can see where the belt goes up around that power steering pulley right there. What we're going to do is we're going to turn the engine over by hand and pull out on our rag, and what we're hoping for is for it to roll that belt off that pulley without stretching it. So you're probably not going to be able to see me do that, but we're going to give it a shot. Alright, so let's give it a shot like this. I'm not sure how much of it y'all are going to be able to see. Just going to put a little bit of pressure on a rag, and then we're going to start barring our engine over. There it is. So it took 2 tries, but we've got the belt rolled off. Now, I'm gonna pull this belt down out of our way. And our next step is going to be to loosen some engine cradle bolts. So let's move to that. Alright. We're going to remove these 2 bolts, this nut. You can do it on each side, so you're going to have 4 bolts and 2 nuts you can take off the rear of the subframe. Now, we've got a jack under our subframe to keep it from just dropping on us. Once we've got those out, we're also going to have 2 more nuts up here, back behind your wheel, right above your sway bar link, or your sway bar. The 2 up here and these 2 nuts are going to be 21s. The 4 bolts are going to be 15s. Like I said, put a jack under your subframe, remove your bolts, and then what we're going to do is we're going to just ease that subframe. We're going to allow the back of it to roll down so we can get more room up there to our power steering pump. Alright, so for this one right here, we're going to go up through our subframe. And that's loose. So we'll do that on the other side as well. There's a hole, wherever it was, right here you can go up through to get to that bolt. With our bolts out, you'll realize this plate is going to come off with it. So just set them aside, keep everything nice and organized. Now we want to just try to ease this sub member. Right there, all the pressure's off of her. So now, if I can get you a shot, see if I can get you all up in here. You can actually see your power steering pump right up in there. This line's going to it. There's going to be 3 bolts mounting it to the engine. Then you'll have your 2 lines and a sensor. I think the bolts are going to be 10 or 13s. We'll get to it. The first thing we're going to take loose is our line coming from a reservoir. So you want to drain that reservoir the best you can. It's going to be hard to see. See if I can get this on camera. Right there at the end of my ratchet. Way up in there. If you follow your line down, the majority of y'all are going to have an actual clamp. See if I can get it right there where that line goes on the pump. You're going to have a clamp right there. You use pliers, take it off, and you can take that hose out. If you've got fluid in your reservoir, it's going to spill out. So if you've got if you can run a vacuum pump or something to suction that out, it'll make a little bit of a less mess. We've actually got that old style clamp that's been moved down, and we've got a regular worm style clamp on there. So we'll get that out of our way, and then we'll look at unbolting this high pressure line you see with the heat shielding on it. With that line out of the way, we're going to take our bolt holding our line, our high pressure line on. I'm going to use a 17mm ratchet wrench. I'm going to sneak it on the bolt. This bolt is a little snug. I've already got it broke loose. We're going to take that bolt out. Now pay attention, because with that being a line, it's probably going to have a brass or copper washer on the top side and the bottom side. You're going to need to replace those if you don't want that line to leak. So I'm going to remove that bolt, and then we'll get to the next step. With that bolt and line out of the way, you can see right to the left of your screen, there's a little electrical connector on top of this pump. I'm just going to reach up in here and unplug it. It should just be a flat blade terminal, and it'll come off. Now we're going to look at our bolts actually holding the pump to the vehicle. At this point, you should have both your lines loose, and you should have your electrical connector loose, your belt off, and we'll be ready to remove the pump. I just want to get y'all kind of a quick shot on how I'm removing this pump. We've got all 3 bolts out. We're going to go over that in just a second. What I use to get the bolts. But I've twisted it to where the pulley side is down, and I've bent this heat shield down just a hair. You want to watch out for your O2 sensor harness. That's really the only thing that'll get in your way. And it's a tight fit, but you can get it out that way. And that'll prevent you from having to pull your axle. I think maybe the proper way is to pull your passenger side axle out and come out to there, but you are able to sneak it out to there. It's a tight fit. And you can see right here, I did bend this heat shield down just a hair. You want to watch out for your O2 sensor harness up here. Don't mess it up. But you can twist it just the right way and get it out snug, but it will happen. So now let's look at what I used to get the bolts out. So here's the pump. If it was sitting in the car when you're looking at it, you're looking at it like this. There's your sensor, slides off. That's your top pressure hose. This is the one that's going to have the brass or copper washer on the bottom side of the hose and the top side, and then the banjo bolt goes through. And this is your line going up to your reservoir. You've got 3 10mm bolts, 1, 2, and then this top one up here. You can see that whole field focus. So the way I got to these, I'll give y'all a little side view. On these bottom 2, I just came in with this, I guess that's a 12-inch extension with a 10mm wobbler, and you can just break those loose. Those are easy to get to. This inside one, it's a little bit hard to see, but it is there. Now, on this top bolt right there, the way I got to it, and it was actually the first one I did, I just used a stubby ratchet, and I guess that's a 3-inch extension, 3 or 4 inch with a deep well 10. And with it on the car, you can just come in like this right here, and that's short enough extension you're not hitting the firewall, and you can break it free. And once it breaks free, you just pop your extension off, twist your bolts out, and it's that simple. So hopefully you've got your pump out and you're doing well. We're going to look at our new pump and see what all we will need to swap over. So new pump on the left, old pump on the right. We'll make sure they look identical. So at first glance, get these pumps swapped up. You're gonna have to move your sensor from your old pump to your new pump right here. Then we'll have to, looks like this has already got the nut on it, so that's good. We'll just have to remove this once it's in there. I would leave this in if you can until you get your pump mounted. That way you don't have to worry about debris getting into it. But now right here, as you can see, we will have to take this elbow off. So it's going to be a 10, and there should be a seal underneath there. I'm not sure if it's probably going to be an O-ring, but we'll zip that off real quick and look. Alright, so I lied to you. It's actually a 12mm bolt holding it down, and it does have a little O-ring right there. So we're going to clean this up. We're going to replace this O-ring, and then we're also going to clean this up. Once we remove this plug, we're going to make sure there's no paint or anything crazy on the inside. Make sure it's a clean surface, and we will go ahead, place the O-ring, and bolt this back in there. Got everything swapped over. New O-ring on our elbow, and we swapped our sensor over. That was a 17mm as well. I believe the bolt for a higher pressure line was a 17. Now remember, when you put this pump in, you're going to have a washer on the bottom side of the line, then you'll have your line, then you'll have another washer, and then your banjo bolt will go through all of that to hold it down. So do not forget your new washers, or you will have a leak there. Alright, so I messed up and lost some of my footage, but that's pretty much the video. The pump will go back in the same way it came out. Just take your time, double check everything, and snug all your bolts down. Hopefully you found this video useful. I like to watch videos on jobs before I do them sometimes, just to kind of get a refresher, or to see how other people do them, to see if there's different ways I can incorporate. And unfortunately, I was not able to find a very good video of replacing this pump. So hopefully this will be the video some of y'all have been searching for, even though some of the footage has been lost and it's not up to the standard I would like. But anyways, if you enjoyed it and it helped you, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe, and leave some comments down there in the section and let me know what you think. Thank you.